Just a small virus has shaken the entire world. Stock markets have crashed, governments are panicking, all the borders have been sealed. Me and you have been locked in our houses for more than 3 months now. Who thought something like this could ever happen? But all of this is happening in reality, and just because of a small virus named coronavirus. All the life has come to a halt, but your English learning shouldn't stop. So today we are going to learn about coronavirus and some important English vocabulary related to it that you must know. The first word is COVID-19. COVID-19 is actually an abbreviated form for coronavirus disease 2019. COVID here stands for coronavirus disease and 19 because the first case was reported in 2019. So it's abbreviated as COVID-19. Now let's understand how it started. Whenever a disease starts or originates from somewhere, we say that it's an outbreak of a disease. Like coronavirus outbreak started in China. On the screen you can see the map of China. There's a city named Wuhan. Coronavirus outbreak has started from Wuhan city in China. But have you ever wondered how did all of this happen? This happened because all over China there are a number of wet markets. Wet markets are those markets where the animals are slaughtered and they are sold for human consumption. It is said that coronavirus has originated from one of these wet markets located in Wuhan, China. You know, in China, people almost eat all types of animals. They eat chicken, goats, bats, rabbits, snakes. According to the reports, coronavirus is said to have been transferred from bats into pangolins and from pangolins into humans. Pangolins are also animals that are eaten in China. Moving forward, the first case of COVID-19 was reported somewhere in mid-December 2019. Just one person was admitted to the hospital with some pneumonia-like symptoms, but the doctors couldn't find the cause behind it. They were trying, but they couldn't understand how this particular type of pneumonia was caused. That is why we say it's a disease with an unknown cause. Means the cause behind it is not known to us. But within a month, by mid-January 2020, cluster of cases were reported. Cluster means a group or a collection of something. A large number of people started being admitted to the hospital showing similar pneumonia-like symptoms. This created a panic, and what did China do? China immediately started isolating such people. Isolation means to keep such people separate, keep them away from the healthy ones so that they wouldn't spread the disease to the others. But it was already too late. The disease had already spread from Wuhan to the neighboring cities, covering nearly the whole of China. That's when China declared COVID-19 as an epidemic. Epidemic means a disease that spreads vigorously through large number of people but can be confined in a particular area. That's why it was called as an epidemic, because it was confined only within China. But things again took a wrong turn, because the Chinese had celebrated their New Year somewhere in December 2019. Everybody, people from all over the world had visited China, and when they returned, they spread the virus globally. Seeing this, WHO, the World Health Organization, declared COVID-19 as a pandemic. Pandemic means, pan means something that covers a wide or a larger area, and demic is a disease. Since COVID-19 was now spreading globally, it was called a pandemic. It's very important for you to understand the difference between the two over here, epidemic and pandemic. Epidemic is when you can confine the disease in a particular area, but pandemic is when it is spreading globally throughout the entire world. Now, moving forward, you must have often heard people calling coronavirus as a novel virus. Why is it so? That's because it's a new strain of a virus. We hadn't heard about it before. It's a new type of a virus that has resulted due to mutations. Like we have resulted because of mutations from our ancestors, the apes. Similarly, this is also a mutated kind of a virus. And most importantly, we have no immunity against this virus. If it affects us, we are dying. Immunity means the power of your body to fight against infections. You know, you have certain kind of cells called as white blood cells inside your body, which immediately start making antibodies to fight against any foreign organism that enters your body. But we have no immunity against the coronavirus. Now, since we have no immunity against it, the number of cases were rising considerably. The government panicked and they started lockdown. Lockdown means to shut the cities, malls, public transport, in fact to shut down everything, in order to break the chain of the virus and restrict the spread of the disease. And mind you, my friends, the only way to achieve this was through lockdown. Now, the government started this lockdown because initially COVID-19 was considered a lethal virus. Lethal means something that is deadly, something that is life-taking. COVID-19 was called as a lethal virus because it has a very high mortality rate. Initially, the mortality rate was more than 10%. It has considerably decreased presently to 3 to 4%, but we cannot still afford losing lives at this rate. Mortality rate is actually the death rate, the rate at which the people are dying because of the virus. So, in order to prevent people from dying, government started doing something again. This is what they are doing. How do you pronounce this? Quarantine. Quarantine. You might be writing T-I-N-E, time, but the correct pronunciation is quarantine. Quarantine might be sounding difficult, but it simply means to isolate somebody completely. Quarantine again is of two types, imposed quarantine and a self-quarantine. When some person shows excessive symptoms of the disease like fever, breathlessness, sneezing, that person has to be strictly admitted to the hospital for being treated. That is called as imposed quarantine. Whereas there are 80% of the people in the world who are asymptomatic to the disease. Asymptomatic means they are potential carriers of the virus. If I will perform a test on them, they will be found COVID positive, but they are not showing any symptoms of the disease. That's when the government advises you to quarantine yourself inside your home for a period of 14 days. This is meant by self-quarantine. One more thing, people who are at a greater risk of acquiring the virus are the elderly people who might be having any health concerns like a high blood pressure, diabetes, kidney problems, or the pregnant women, because they have a very low immunity. They have a very lesser capability to fight infections. So please keep such people around you safe. One good thing about this virus is that it is not airborne. Airborne means something that is transmitted through air, but coronavirus doesn't transfer through air. That's why it's not an airborne virus. So have you thought, how does it spread? Coronavirus spreads through social contact. If you come in contact with other people, such as by shaking hands, hugging them, or at any gatherings or parties, then the virus spreads. Now, in order to avoid social contact, the government advises people to perform social distancing. Social distancing means to distance yourself from people so that you do not acquire the virus or you do not come in contact with the diseased people. Now, every virus has to be cured, and because of that, a vaccine has to be made. First of all, the correct pronunciation is vaccine. Vaccine. Okay? What's a vaccine? Vaccines are actually weakened microorganisms, or if I say in a layman's language, they are certain kind of substances that are injected into your body to provide immunity against any disease. Like as a kid, you might have received vaccines for tuberculosis, smallpox, etc. Now, everybody is running in a rat race to find a vaccine for coronavirus and credit it to themselves. But study and research tells that it normally takes about 1.5 to 2 years to develop a vaccine. But let's keep our fingers crossed, hope for the best, and hope that we get a vaccine as soon as possible. Now, have you ever wondered who makes these vaccines for us? There are people who study viruses. They are called as virologists. Virologists are the people who make vaccines. And the study of viruses is called as virology. Before I end the video, there's a very small message from my side on how you can prevent COVID-19. First of all, this is a kind of droplet infection that spreads from a sick person to a healthy person through eyes, nose or mouth. Therefore, it's very important for you to maintain proper social distance. Please maintain a distance of at least 2 to 3 meters with other people. Avoid any kind of crowds because that's where you have the greatest chances of acquiring the infection. Did you know this virus lasts on any surface for about 12 to 14 hours. Therefore, coming in any indirect contact with substances like anybody else's mobile phones or laptops or lift buttons, doorknobs, railings, all of this can help you to get the virus onto yourself, which you don't want. Therefore, it's very important to sanitize all these things properly and regularly. Another important thing, if you find anybody who's ill, sneezing or coughing, give them a mask. It's very important for all of us to know that it's not necessary for us to wear a mask. Although according to the rules, everybody has to wear a mask, but it's absolutely necessary for people who are diseased, who are sick, and the health workers to wear a mask. So please give them a mask first. The best remedy to protect yourself from COVID-19 is using a soap. It's very simple. Keep sanitizing your hands regularly and keep washing your hands regularly in a proper manner throughout the day with soap, and you'll be properly safe. Now, my only message to you is stay home, stay safe, and keep your loved ones and family also safe. I hope this lesson has helped you to know something new about coronavirus. I'll soon be back with a new lesson. Till then, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Bye-bye and take care.